position. Oh! What a nail! As Jonathan Bostic just separated Mike Willie from the football.
Yes, 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 yes. Fourth Quarter Boy Sports. I am your illustrious host, Professor Lake, in the building as usual. We just got finished watching the Hall of Fame game last week. I want to give you guys my quick takeaways and what I liked, some of the things I would like to see in the Bears versus Bengals game. And we'll get into a few other topics as well. But as I always do right about this time, it is Fourth Quarter Boy Sports. It is the illustrious host, Professor Lake, back again. Be a Fourth Quarter Boy for life. Hit that notification bell. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Yeah, let's get into it. So, in the Hall of Fame game, we got a first look at this impermissible use of the helmet rule. We've seen one guy from the Baltimore Ravens get hit with the penalty early in the first quarter. It seemed like a basic tackle that would have happened last season, and you would never have seen a flag. It didn't even look egregious. We saw another penalty thrown on a Bears rookie, Nick Orr. He comes from TCU. It looked like a clean hit to me, and I thought it was a bad call. I think this penalty is kind of ambiguous, really a judgment call for the referees. My problem with the penalty is just that a lot of these hits getting flagged just don't seem like penalties in my opinion. And overall, it just seems like the offense and the defense is going to have problems making legal hits. Whether it be an offensive player protecting himself and lowering his shoulder and possibly hitting a defender in the helmet in the process, or a defender making a tackle, he lowers his shoulder again and his head comes into contact with the offensive player's helmet. I just do not particularly care for the penalty. And again, I think they have rules in place that just aren't being enforced. There's a guy out there normally I would never agree with. His name is Jason Whitlock, but this penalty is kind of making the football game comparable to the Pro Bowl games that we see in January and February, and that's just not good for football. With that in mind, some of the positives about the Bears game against the Ravens were Javon Wims' performance. He had 7 catches for 89 yards. He seemed to show that he's pretty clutch. He can make contested catches, and he had pretty decent hands. Kylie Fitts stood out as well. He had 4 tackles and 1 sack. The defense looked pretty promising. We'll have some quality depth. Isaiah Irving proved me wrong. He really stepped up and showed that he could get off the ball and get after the quarterback. So I like what I saw out of Isaiah Irving. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about Aaron Lynch not being able to play or step in on the field. Josh Bellamy was also a surprise as well. Something else that I took away from the game is that there's going to be a lot of competition in the wide receiving group, the defensive back group, and the outside linebacking group as far as some of those backup positions. As I said before, it looks like that we're going to have a lot of quality depth on defense. The wide receiver group is going to be a lot of competition for those last couple spots. And even an outside linebacker, Aaron Lynch hasn't really been able to practice or get in any preseason action, and Kylie Fitts and Isaiah Irving are battling it out. Something that was disappointing was the performance of Chase Daniels. I just really wished he didn't turn the ball over as much. Maybe I could have lived with him just moving the ball up and down the field, but one thing I can say is that his height is a disadvantage, and it's evident why he has not been able to harness a starting position. Tyler Bray wasn't great, but he had a little bit of a better game than Chase Daniels. Neither one really impressed me, though. Something else that crossed my mind as the game ended, will John Timu remain on the Bears roster? Just a couple times I've seen that he appeared to be a step slow, and that has kind of been the reputation for John Timu. Guy that knows defense, he knows what play to call, a great film study, a guy that may be a better coach than a player. I saw him get beat a couple times, though. though. And, you know, I just wonder how long the Bears are going to hold on to John Timu. Michael Joseph, he's a undrafted rookie free agent. You know, I just seen him get beat a couple times. You know, maybe he could have a bounce back game against the Bengals. But in this instance, I just think that, you know, he's just a little bit overmatched when it comes to the competition. Maybe later on down the road, if the Bears keep him as a developmental project on the practice squad, you might see Michael Joseph, but I just don't see him making the 53-man roster. DeMarcus Ayers, you know, a guy that we picked up in the offseason. He gets the ball and he fumbles. Definitely a problem. How can we keep him with all this competition going on in the wide receiver group? And this goes for Benny Fowler. He dropped 2 dimes. You know, you want a guy that's going to be reliable and a guy that may even be able to exceed reliability. And what about Taquan Mizell? Is there a spot for him on this team? I just don't see it right now. He hasn't done enough in the game, and I just haven't seen enough from him for me to really consider him as a guy that's going to take up a roster spot. So there was no Kevin White this game. I wonder if he's definitely going to be a starter. And if he is going to be a starter, I think that a guy like Kevin White could benefit from a series or two, seeing that he hasn't had that many reps in the NFL at all. What does Javon Wims' Hall of Fame performance do for Kevin White's roster spot? Does he become more expendable after Javon Wims' performance? You know, I think so. If Javon Wims could keep this going and consistently makes splash catches and continues to improve as an all-around wide receiver, you know, I think Kevin White may be in his last season with the Chicago Bears. So at the end of the day, the biggest question for me after the Hall of Fame game was who will emerge as a foundational piece out of these rookies. Right now, it looks like Kylie Fitz and Javon Wims. There was a couple guys on the offensive line that I like. One of them was Deshaun Allen. I think he held his own. Another question that came to mind after the game was, who would you rather back up Mitch Trubisky, Chase Daniels or Tyler Bray? So after getting sucked into the festivities of the Hall of Fame game, watching speeches, checking out the game, something that came to mind was, and I want to ask my subscribers, so let me know in the comment section what you think. Is Charles Tillman a Hall of Famer? Now here's his stats. He had 912 tackles, 44 forced fumbles, 9 recoveries, 38 interceptions, and 9 touchdowns. And we'll just leave that there. Is Charles Tillman a Hall of Famer? So those are the things that came to mind when I thought about the Hall of Fame game, watching it, what my concerns were. But moving on to the very first preseason game in Cincinnati, this is going to be our first look at the starters. And, you know, one of the major guys that we've been checking out this season and hoping that really has a great season for the Bears is Mitchell Trubisky. So one of the things I'll be watching by Mitchell Trubisky is how he commands the offense. I want to see how comfortable he is before the snap, reading coverages during the plays and finding a good wide receiver option or tight end option, whatever it may be, and just calling out protections. You know, last year I think that he said that he left the protection calling to the center. I want to see if he's going to be a little more involved in that this year. Another player I'm very excited to take my first look at is Anthony Miller. I just want to see how he performs against NFL #1 defensive backs. You know, it's one thing to go against second stringers on the Bears, but he still had success in training camp from what I'm hearing. And I know our defense is pretty good, so I'm really curious to see how he does against other teams' #1 defensive backs. Can he make the same plays he made in college and dominate like he did in college as well? I don't know if Allen Robinson is going to play or not, but I definitely want to see how he's recovering and how close he is to the 2015 form. Trey Burton, will he emerge as a security blanket for Mitchell Trubisky? I think he will have to emerge as a security blanket for Mitchell Trubisky in order for this offense really to develop and flourish and win games at the same time. Is he really a #1 tight end? No one's really asking this question. You know, since he's won the Super Bowl, we seem to forget that he was a third-string tight end. Is he really a #1 tight end? I think we'll figure these things out early on into the season. In regards to the offensive line, I just want to see some cohesiveness. I don't think there were too many false starts in the Hall of Fame game, and I don't want to start seeing a lot of false starts in this preseason game. I definitely want to see some discipline. We talked about this in the past. And I want to see some cohesiveness with the guys that we're going to have protecting Mitchell Trubisky. Will James Daniels play? I don't know how bad that shoulder injury is, but again, I'm just curious to see James Daniels, our second-round draft pick. Defensively, we have Leonard Floyd back off the knee injury. I don't think he needs to play a lot of snaps, but I do want to see if he's taking a step forward as a professional outside linebacker. I want to know if he's really recovered from the knee injury. How does his health affect his gameplay? Another storyline you might be watching out for as you watch these preseason games is Kylie Fitz versus Isaiah Irving. Both of them look good during the Hall of Fame game. Will Aaron Lynch play? When will we see Aaron Lynch? What about Jonathan Bullard versus Roy Robinson Harris? Who's going to be the starter? Who's it going to be? Where does Bilal Nichols fit in the mix? I saw him in the last game and I like what I saw. In regards to the secondary, will they dominate? Will they take a step forward? I think they will this season. I think they're going to show glimpses of it during the preseason, the few snaps that they play. But I also think that you'll see some of their depth pieces perform during these preseason games. So I really think that we're good in the secondary right now. You got a lot of good, talented football players to choose from to make this 53-man roster. We got DeAndre Hall. He's been with us for a couple of years. Deion Bush, DeAndre Houston Carson. And all three of them look like they've made major strides towards being competent NFL football players. Crayvon LeBlanc, he's always been reliable. A guy that, has been beat from time to time. But let's be real, Crayvon LeBlanc is a player. And somebody I do want to check out is Kevin Tolliver, the undrafted rookie free agent out of LSU. I'm not sure if he's injured or not, but I do want to see if he fits into the mix. So, I'm really pumped up about the Bears preseason, 2018 regular season as well. I'm a guy that loves to watch football. I definitely can enjoy seeing players compete for roster spots. I enjoy watching some of these college guys get opportunities to fulfill their dreams. And, I'm watching just to see what players emerge as leaders in this rookie class. I want to see what free agents maybe have been overlooked for a couple seasons and who may add value to the Bears defense and offensive units. But with that in mind, you know what time it is. It is Fourth Quarter Boys Sports. I am the illustrious one, Professor Lake, in the building, man. I hope you enjoyed. Be a Fourth Quarter Boy for life, man. Hit that notification bell. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Man, enjoy the game. Man, I'm pumped up about this preseason game, y'all. I'm a fanatic. I'm trying to see these starters execute this offense. That's really what I want to see. I want to see Matt Nagy's dynamic offense on display. So, Fourth Quarter Boy Sports, this is the illustrious Professor Lake. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Be a Fourth Quarter Boy for life. Hit that notification bell. You know what it is. I'm out.
What a nail! As Jonathan Bostic just separated Mike Willie from the football.